So what I plan to do today, I don't have any slides. I'm gonna be just drawing on a white piece of paper. So I'm prepared to answer anything if anyone has any interest of it, any answer. All right, so who am I? So just to kind of tell you my story really quickly. Let's see. Let's draw this really quickly here. I was testing this out earlier. Unfortunately, this has a lag. Anyway, I'll try my best. Okay, maybe I'll just use my draw. So I'm Tim. Here. So my path is a little, I guess, some ways similar to a lot of people. Maybe it's a little very different for some of you as well. So I grew up in a place called Taiwan. I was born in the U.S. Actually, my parents came to New York City to actually do as exchange students. I hope my pen can actually work. My pen is somewhat not working. Let's try this again. Anyway, yeah, my finger is a little bit harder. All right, let's try this again. All right, so I was born in New York. I went back to Taiwan when I was 16. My finger drawing a little bit harder to read, but hopefully this is fine. And actually, I went to Taiwan when I was 6 years old. I grew up all the way to 16 years old. I studied very normal college, high school, middle school in Taiwan. Learned Chinese and all of that, and came back to Seattle when I was 16 years old. So went to high school. So growing up, I know I love computers. I love hacking on things. Video games. I told my mom and dad I was very serious in video games. Like I want to be a pro player. I was really into like first-person shooters. I was practicing all day. I was, doing drills and everything. I'm very into it. Competitive gaming, basically. But of course, as Asian parents, my mom told me that, or my dad told me that, make sure you be a doctor one day. That's what he told me all of my time when I was growing up. Just make sure you still think about just being a doctor. All this stuff's just for hobbies, right? For fun. So from Seattle, I got into University of Washington. University of Washington, I guess I was fortunate to get in. Well, I guess what happens first few years in Washington, my GPA isn't that great. Like I was studying kind of, I feel like I'm the kind of person where if I'm very passionate about subjects, I'll spend all my time and energy and just really spend my energy in looking at them. And if I don't like those subjects at all, I barely can touch them. My mom is always tell me that I barely even lift up the book of things I don't like to read. Like it's really hard to motivate me of things I just don't want to do. So that's got part of the reason why I got booted out of Taiwan to come back to US to study. But at UW, yeah, I didn't graduate from. I love programming and stuff like that, but I couldn't get into CS. That was the main reason I didn't study computer science, because my GPA wasn't that great. So I couldn't actually get in. So instead I went to a program called informatics. Informatics, if you never heard of it, it's more of a HCI design degree. It has computer, it has design, it has like how do you do user interviews, right? How do you do like a UX researcher? Have you heard of that role before? So it's a very hybrid major. Back when I was in college, I thought it was pretty useless because all I wanted to do is become more of a software engineer, and it's teaching me all about this, doing designs and interviews and stuff like that. Looking back right now is actually very useful for me, what I'm doing right now. But, I guess God has a plan for all of us. So yeah, informatics. So my career from here, I don't have a good GPA, and I'm not a CS degree. So my first challenge actually from a high college student is how do I even go to my first software engineer position? I tried to apply for all the internships. I didn't get even internships. So I had during school years, I was already doing a bunch of volunteering. I was actually doing a bunch of unpaid interns to start. a lot of them paid interns, like one or two or three of them, just trying to get my resume to be better. I went back to Taiwan to do an intern, using my cousin. He works at a software shop, so I got into an internship there, and finally got my first intern at a bank. Back when it's called Washington Mutual, but it's already become Chase. So from that, I finally got my first intern at Microsoft, and that caused me to finally, after the internship, learn how to able to got my first offer to join Microsoft as a software engineer after graduation. So that's where I started. Well, I won't touch on too much because it would too much time here, but that I took quite a struggle to get even my first programming. And going to Microsoft, so my career started at Microsoft. I was there in what they call the Microsoft IT, and to be honest, I really hated it. I thought I liked, I like programming and everything, but I realized at the particular team and position, I was really not learning much. I realized going to this big corporates, especially going into the IT side of things, not everybody is so motivated to learn all the new technologies and really want to go deep into, lots of challenges, and that it really bored me a lot. So I was trying to struggle to find, and this is back in 2008, I think, or 2009. So there was a huge layoff. Microsoft laid off about like almost 10,000 to 15,000 employees, right? That's when the big crash happened. So I couldn't find any job inside, so to transfer to. So I went to a startup.